Spooky Tuesday.
Okay, come on. It won't kill us to get a deep fried Snickers and a Coke.
Before riding Devil's Flight, yeah, that might kill me.
No, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, man.
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff. And this week we are doing the most important installment in our Final Destination Summer series. That's right. It is finally time for the best movie of them all, Final Destination 3. Final Destination 3, baby.
Thank God
Three.
we're here.
We don't need a
It's
soundboard.
3 for the 3. We do need a soundboard.
Okay, we do
Do-
need a soundboard, but I've got us in the interim. This movie
yeah.
fucking slaps, man. Like I remembered that it did slap, but then
Yeah.
I watched it twice and it slapped both times so hard I could barely handle it. It was overwhelming.
It is, frankly, if you ask me, a flawless film. And you know, you guys are familiar with the Final Destination premise by now. You get it. Not only have you seen the first 2 Final Destination films and listened to our podcast, I assume, but also it's the same every time. But just in case there are some twists, I'll read you the IMDb log line so you know specifically what we're dealing with, just in case you're coming in blind because you wanted to hear us experience it first before you experienced it. And if that is the case, what an interesting
Why?
approach. Yeah.
Why? Okay.
But also flattered, I guess. But okay, here's the IMDb log line if for whatever reason you haven't seen this yet. 6 years. Oh, that's a weird way to bring it in to reference the other ones. Anyway, sorry, back to what I'm reading. 6 years after students cheated death, another teen has a premonition she and her friends will be involved in an accident. When the vision proves true, the student and survivors deal with the repercussions of cheating the Grim Reaper. That is extremely vague and not at all specific to this movie other than the 6 years later part. No mention of a roller coaster.
Okay, well, they last IMDb description for Final Destination 2, they were like, when a log falls off a car and hits a bunch of other cars and a lot of people die, more death ensues. Like way too specific. So they're
Sure.
dialing it back.
They said we got some notes last time on our IMDb log line. We will be retailoring that approach. Which is interesting though, because when it comes to Final Destination 3, there were lots of conversations about the title and making the title more specific, which is so
Final
strange to me.
Destination roller coaster. Edition.
Roller coaster.
Oh, I didn't
There
even
were like
think about that connection to the opening scene. I'm so stupid. Anyway, I just fucking love that song. That's actually like James's my roommate's favorite song. And so when that
It's a
scene
great
came
song.
on, I made him come downstairs and watch the whole thing with me without context, and he was horrified. What were
It
you
is-
saying, Chelsea?
well, I want to talk about that just for 1 second. And then I just want to say that is the best scene to randomly walk into from this movie.
I
That's
was
the
like,
best scene.
come down
It's the most
here. It's
horrifying
your
death,
song and
but
there's
it's a
tits.
bop. Yeah, there's so much going for that scene. But yeah, title wise, they talked about calling it Cheating Death Final Destination 3. They talked about calling it Final Destination 3D and making it a 3D installment.
Like Jaws 3D.
You know it, baby. There was another one. I'm not finding it in my notes right now, but there was some conversations about, I think in Japan, it's called like Final Dead Coaster or something like that. So they are really like mixing things up for some reason.
Final Dead Coaster.
I mean, I don't know if that is what it was literally called there or if that's like a translation of what it was. Yeah, I don't know.
That's
Look,
fucking
IMDb
funny.
trivia, somebody also could have just totally lied. But
The
I don't
final
think they would.
death
I think everybody comes into the IMDb trivia page with honor and respect in their hearts.
Yeah, with pure intentions.
yeah.
Yeah, nobody would lie maliciously. But
course
they could be
not.
wrong. People make mistakes, and
But
everybody
here's the
has
thing,
those
once
days.
it's on the internet, it's true. So
Now it's true.
it doesn't even matter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
it's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
Well, okay. Here's the thing about FD3, as I like to call it.
As you should.
I just like to. I just
Rolls
think
off
it
the
sounds
tongue.
really cool. I just
It
think it
does.
sounds really cool. The thing with this movie is that they, in my opinion, like perfected the Final Destination movie with this. Like the first movie, they had to have setup because it's the first movie. You have to have the explaining of the rules. You have to have all that. Otherwise, there's no fucking lore and we're just going crazy. The second movie, they were like, we got to double down on some shit. So let's double down on everything. We'll make the deaths fucking way sicker, of which is a good thing, but let's also make the rules much more complicated.
Right.
Let's double down on the lore so it just is absolutely nonsensical. And so it was like super cool deaths, but then your brain hurt because you're like, it doesn't make any sense. This one, they're like, okay, we figured it out. Making it more confusing. Nobody likes that. We don't like that. We're not going to have any setup at all, pretty much. And we're just going to be like, you know the rules. Here we go, baby. And it's beautiful. It's perfect.
They really, order wise, they said, you get it. We're just going to go straight down the line. No problems. And then once we finish, we'll loop back around to anybody who got skipped. But they did add in the pictures. That was a new fun little feature.
Which
but
I
they
love.
did not take too long explaining it, which I appreciated. They're like, the pictures predict the future, and that's how it is. Don't
This is
ask
how you
any
die.
questions.
She looks at one
This is
picture
how
and
you
she's
die.
like, enough. Looks at one picture and is like, I get it. I immediately see the connections. Jason standing in front of a roller coaster.
He
Wow.
died on a roller
Jason
coaster.
died on a roller
Oh
coaster.
my
These pictures tell us how we die. And I said, you know what? Fair enough. That's absolutely fair.
It's too true. Okay, she has sort of like, she has premonitions, but
She
like,
saw one picture of a plane shadow in front of the Twin Towers and said, this is enough to draw conclusions from.
oh my God.
This
I mean,
thing-
Back to 9/11. once
It
again.
always goes back to 9/11 on this podcast. Never forget.
It goes back to 9/11, Finding
Finding
Nemo,
Nemo.
My Immortal,
and Twilight.
and
Twilight.
Twilight.
We
Those
can
are the
always
origins
find a
of the
connection.
universe. Yeah.
But she really straight up is like, oh my God, he died on a roller coaster. There's a roller coaster in this. Like, forget that the roller coaster is really big and they're at a theme park and like that could have just been the backdrop. But she's like, oh my God. And then like the other reason why this doesn't make sense is the picture of her best friend, like, is her with some teddy bears and she's not killed by teddy bears. And the roller coaster's not in that picture at all. So that one doesn't make sense. And then the next one she sees is the tanning bed girlies. And she's like, it's overexposed. They must blow up.
They're a little bit orange from the lighting.
Oh man, I love her. Okay, let's talk about her. Actually, Mary Elizabeth Winstead,
Acting
my
her little ass off.
future wife, our future wife. I can't claim
We'll
her.
share.
Chelsea
Yeah,
will
yeah,
kill
yeah.
me.
Yeah. I love her so much. And I did accidentally call her Sky High character Gwen Stacy on here one time, I think, which is incorrect.
That
That's
is wrong.
Spider-Man's girlfriend. It's Gwen something or other. It doesn't matter. You guys get it. You've seen Sky High.
Maybe
But
that's what
she's
half
just an
this movie.
icon.
I thought that her name was Gwen, and it's 'cause
Oh,
the
Sky High.
I think it's because of Sky High, but I also think it's because the
it's
tanning
Wen.
bed girl, the tanning
Also.
bed girlies call her Wen, and I thought they
Mhm.
said Gwen, and so I was like, it's Gwen. My notes said Gwen for half of it, and then I was like, how come they're calling her Wendy? Oh, maybe 'cause
It's
that's her
Gwendy,
name.
actually. It could be Gwendolyn. I mean, who
Gwendy.
knows?
Oh,
Little
Gwendolyn
Gwendolyn is a
really
real
cool name.
nice lady's name.
It's beautiful.
Or it
It's
could be gender
beautiful.
neutral. I mean, live your truth.
I mean, I'm gonna take this moment to plug a thing that I love that I don't know the name of. Oh no, oh no. Okay, all right. Well, we're just gonna go ahead
Should
and
I
keep our
guess
pants.
names in the meantime?
There is this online video series that Mary Elizabeth Winstead was in. That is, the whole thing was an advertisement for a laptop. The whole thing. It was sponsored by this type of laptop. And yeah, I'm sorry. The only reason that I watched it is because I'm obsessed with Matthew Gray Gubler and I knew that he was in it. So then I watched the whole thing. But it's about this guy who wakes up every single day and he's a different person and he can be a different gender. They weren't really up to the challenge of tackling that aspect of it, but inside their voice was Topher Grace. Just just so you know. And so
Spider-Man, Gwen Stacy.
Yep, there you go. And so every day he'd
Different
wake up as a
Spider-Man.
different person and he was into antique restoration. That was his passion. So he would go to this antique store, and at the antique store worked Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and he fell in love with her, but he could never be with her because he was a different person every single day, except one. So he was waiting till the day
How does
that
it
he was
come to the
basically
laptop?
the hottest. Every day he took a video on his lap of who he was. He was like, today, this is me. Hello. And it was
Me on my Mac Pro
on-
Air, blah, blah, blah.
exactly. And so he waits until he's like the hottest person that he's ever been, and that's when he decides to ask her out. And what day is it that he decides to ask her out? The day that he's Matthew Gray Gubler. And so there's this one episode where Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Matthew Gray Gubler have this like romping date through LA, and they break in the Natural History Museum. It's the best thing that I've ever seen. And then anyway, you should watch it. There you go. That's it. That's my story. Bye.
Monica's
There
like,
was a
buy this
rom-com like
laptop.
that
You're welcome.
recently.
Hey,
Yeah,
this is an ad.
that's
And
a
the
paid
laptop that I
ad.
bought from them was really good. You know, I really liked it.
If Acer wants to send us $50 in the mail, they're welcome
I will-
to.
I will find this shit on YouTube and I will link it in the references, and you will watch it and you will feel something. Anyway, what is this movie that we're watching? Final Destination 3?
It's basically exactly like that.
Yeah, it's like actually
except-
super similar.
Yeah, except instead of waking up in a new body every day, she wakes up in her same body every day. And instead of taking a picture on a laptop every day, she takes a bunch of pictures of other people on a camera one day. But other than that,
Yeah. The question that I have is, isn't that movie Shudder about the exact same thing? Does taking the picture of you kill you, or does taking the picture of you in that movie show you how you're gonna die?
I've never seen
No one
Shudder.
will know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I've never
I'm
seen it
thinking
either.
Shutter
but
Island.
yeah, that Shudder came out first. Oh, okay. So they copied
Oh.
Shudder. Okay, that's fine. That's
wow,
fine. It's
they
fine.
would
It's
never
fine.
copy.
They might have copied Shudder.
This completely, totally original, fresh, new premise in Final Destination 3.
This came out in 2006, right?
Totally
Yeah, Shudder
divorced
came
from
out in
any other
2004.
franchises.
Yeah, no, you know what? It's an ode. It's a clear reference to the film Shudder.
Look, they said we're already the third movie. It doesn't matter. We can do whatever we want.
No
We are
rules
just
in the third
repeating-
movie.
Exactly. We're just repeating the same recipe. And honestly, Shudder didn't mind. We asked them. They said it was cool.
That's fine. They do a lot of it's just part of it. And it's not
It's
the part
fanfic.
that makes it the best. It's
Yeah.
just the pacing that's so paced so
the
well.
script. The script is so good. There's so many iconic banger lines in this film.
Frankie.
Oh my God. Frankie
Cheeks, the name alone,
okay,
Oscar worthy.
here's the thing. This movie is the best movie. One, I do be loving some roller coasters, but two, Tony Todd plays the voice of the devil in this movie.
Mhm.
Oh,
And the
also-
subway announcer.
And the subway announcer, exactly.
it
It didn't say that
is-
in I just thought that was such a brilliant touch because I was like, I miss him. I need
Yes!
him
Where's
in
baby?
this, but
Where's
he's
baby?
here.
But like,
His presence is felt.
it's so genius. It's so
So genius.
perfect. Like, who else would play a giant animatronic devil and a subway conductor?
I wonder if he was like, I'm busy, but here's what I can give you. Or if they were like, is he a feature of the movie and we need to keep going back to him? I mean, they do loop back in future Final Destinations. Although I'm not sure how much he's in 4, but I do know he's in 5.
But
William Bloodsworth.
or is he just the devil himself, like represented
death.
through this movie?
He's death. He's death. We've done a TikTok about this. He's death. This when I read that, because especially I didn't notice that he was the devil's voice in the beginning of the film, because there was just a lot of other stimuli that I was experiencing.
Yeah.
But I certainly recognized his voice during the subway scene, and I was like, my fucking thesis has been proved to be correct. Here we go.
I didn't realize
line.
I didn't realize it was him with the voices, but I always was like, why is this giant red devil so
Why is
sexy?
this big devil so hot? It's because
really
if you
hot.
pose just right, you can look like you're cupping his balls.
Balls?
Yeah.
It's the biggest dick that Frankie's ever seen.
Look. That's okay. Here's the thing. Everybody in this movie, I love them even if they suck a little bit. You know what I mean? Like they do a
Mhm.
really good job in this one specifically, I think, of really being a little bit sad about some of the deaths. The girlies especially. The girlies I fucking love wholeheartedly.
I
No
love the
complaints about the
girlies.
girlies.
I-
Such a shame
I
that they're first and that it's so brutal. But
I know Fangoria. I read this like article from Fangoria that came out like when the movie came out. Like, love you, Fangoria, but they fucking ripped this movie to shreds, and they were
Rude.
like calling them like bimbos, and no one cared about them. Blah 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 blah. And it's like these stupid characters were getting like incinerated to death, and everyone in the theater was laughing. Like, what's wrong with people? Something like that. And I was just like, they're not bimbos. They're thoughtful. They tried to help Wen and hang out with her, and they invited her to the tanning salon. And that I thought was a very nice olive branch.
They're
No,
not
it
bimbos, they're
was.
thoughts. It's fine.
That's because they're hoes maybe a little bit, but they're not even. They just have matching juicy sweatsuits with whale tails. And what about it?
They're
It was
hot,
the
and they're
times.
really good at the game where you squirt the water and pop the balloon. That's hard. You have to have
They're
really
just
good
getting
hand-eye
sexually
coordination.
harassed right and left by Frankie Cheeks. That doesn't say anything about their character. It speaks to his. I actually not to get into Final Destination 5 too much, but some of the characters in 5 are like you're waiting for them to die because they suck. You know what I mean? And I think what's special about this one is that everyone is wonderful is not the word, but so entertaining. You know what I mean? I'm having a good time with everybody. And some of them are having a good time with each other. Like there is a little bit of a goth girly alliance at play that I thought was very important because they're kind of pitted against each other a little bit. But then at that funeral, the goths are like, these girlies were innocent.
These girlies. They
I-
don't get to live to 18. I
know.
love that guy, by the way. Anyway, keep what were you gonna say,
I
Sydney?
didn't like the jock guy. He was the only
Lewis.
one when I was like, please, dear God.
Yes, but then his final speech is so iconic.
Oh my God.
He was just giving so much energy for me, you know?
But then it was so that whole he's like, fuck death, I win, I always win, I only win. It's so good. I love it so much for him.
Yeah,
Death is a fucking Denver fan. Death wears blue and orange.
I was so stressed out in that scene that I could not comprehend what he was saying. I was just like, I know what's gonna happen here, and I can't handle all of this. I also just want to let you know that the show was called Intel and Toshiba Presents The Beauty Inside. Anyway, back to the movie.
Intel's write us a check right now.
I can't believe the poster is Topher Grace holding the computer over his face, and there's a smiley face on the computer. I can't make this up. Anyway, continue what we're talking about.
we're kind of skipping around a little bit, but do we want to talk about the original roller coaster scene in the beginning before we go
Yes.
too far away from it?
Yes, please.
Um,
I can't relate to Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Okay, I'll call her name, Wendy. In this because I love roller coasters so much. And I would be even more excited by a devil themed roller coaster. But she just never should have gone on. She never should have gone on. The thing is, also, I like Jason. I thought he was a nice boyfriend, and it's too bad that he had to go. But it does open up the door for Wendy to love me instead, and so that's good.
yeah, I mean, the thing about Jason is that he should have sat in the back with his girlfriend, especially if he knew that she was freaked out, though, because he was very much willing to be like, okay, I don't want to go, but I am going to tell my bestie to take good care of her. And it's like, if you feel like you have to tell your bestie to take good care of her, you are not fulfilling your boyfriendly obligations.
Right? Like, just
Yeah.
sit in the back. It's not a big deal.
A really good like narrative device to have these characters who have some tension have to band together. I thought story-wise it worked really well, but that sucked boyfriend-wise. Kevin also taking upskirt photos in the beginning, especially with the flash on. Not that you should do it with the flash off. You shouldn't be doing
with his girlfriend sitting right there.
Right there. And she's like, fuck that guy, honestly. And I did love that she's like, I'm dumping him in 2 weeks. And he was like, I'm gonna propose in 2 weeks. Tragic for them. I mean, do you think he got off easy? Not that her dying is easy, but do you think he would have is he spared the knowledge that she was going to dump him? Is that nice?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now he can be a tragic romance for the rest of his short life.
Right. For the 7
you
months
don't
he has left.
Like, because then that also is shitty too. They're like, oh, he won't miss her as much if he knows that she didn't love him. Well, that's not. I don't think that's logic. So yeah, he'd just be sad, and then heartbroken in a different way than he was previously.
I do think his is the turn that I'm most impressed by, in the sense that they really managed to make him go from upskirt photo taking perv who's rightfully getting dumped and soon to maybe he's not so bad in like record time. The second that he started to be at all nice to Wendy on the roller coaster, I would think, oh, which doesn't speak well to my strength of character, maybe, but
that says something about you, Chelsea.
Maybe it does.
Oh man. Something from the beginning scene that I don't want us to forget is that Frankie does that thing where he mimes cunnilingus onto that sexy lady necklace.
Oh yeah, horrifying.
What an absolute skis. Like, what an absolute skis. Just disgusting.
He is gross. He is a perv. He is the character that you are rooting for him to die, at least in some capacity. But also he's got some really good lines. So
such good lines.
He's the one, and I really think here's the difference. With the girlies, Ashlyn and Ashley, by the way, are their names, if you didn't know that. And I did not know that until I was reading TV trivia.
Oh my God.
But Ashlyn and Ashley, I think, if what's the front Carrie? If Carrie had been like, raise your hands and cup them slightly so it'll look like you're holding the devil's balls, they 100% would have done it. They're down ass girlies, and I think they would have thought that was funny, but they just didn't want to be sexually harassed, and I think that's very fair. And then they burned Frankie so immediately, and good for them.
Very fair.
Yeah. But I did think when he says, I dare you to flash me those sweet titties when we go through the loop, I was like, do you know what, Frankie, that's funny, and that made me laugh.
Oh my God. But then the whole reason that all this shit goes down is because of his fucking camcorder. Like that's what
yeah.
does it.
Well, IMDb trivia says that's not the case. Although certainly the movie would give you that impression. But okay, here's the thing about what IMDb trivia says. It's like the hydraulic fluid is leaking. That's the real problem. And also you can see part of the tracks are like a little broken. The movie really makes it seem like it's the camera getting stuck, but obviously that's can't be the case because he gets off the ride and takes his camera with him, and then the roller coaster still crashes. It just maybe doesn't crash exactly the same way.
Oh, so true. Damn, I didn't think about that.
But IMDb trivia did say that in the premonition crash, it is directly responsible for like Lewis and Aaron and Ian and maybe some other people because it affects like that car specifically, I think.
Okay.
Anyway, it didn't really make much sense to me, but I said that's fine. It doesn't need to. No further questions, Your Honor. I've got it. I'll take it from here.
No further questions, Your Honor.
But yeah, I mean, I think they did a really good job of making you care about Jason and Carrie enough in the beginning, which is like hard to do because I think that's one thing that Final Destination 2 didn't really do is like it didn't really set up enough investment in AJ Cook's friends for you to be like mourning them significantly.
Yeah.
And this one I think did a better job of you being like, oh, there's that. But also Mary Elizabeth Winstead immediately is like grief. Like she is absolutely slaying it up and down all over the place. Like every moment she is serving Oscar winning realness.
She's just
does she have an Oscar? She might have an Emmy.
She's like a fucking scream queen also in her own right. She was also in the absolutely terrible Black Christmas from the 2007 or something like that, which, you know, we love her for it. And she's also in 10 Cloverfield Lane, which is that like third sequel or whatever to the Cloverfield. I can't wait till we do Cloverfield on this podcast. Anyway, I said podcast weird. But yeah, she's like done quite a few. And like she's Ramona Flowers. So we all know that. And she starred in the hit Toshiba Intel, the Beanie Inside. I'm gonna watch it after
Final
this.
Destination 3, Black Christmas. She's in Grindhouse, Death Proof. She's been in plenty of stuff, and she slays that every single time.
She's in Death Proof. So Death Proof is
that's
part
what
of the Grindhouse movie.
I haven't seen any of those, but one
Grindhouse is the one with Death Proof and Planet Terror together. Quentin Tarantino did Death Proof, and Robert Rodriguez did Planet Terror. I would like to. I would like to do Planet Terror more than I'd like to do Death Proof because Death Proof is like misogyny on wheels. Anyway.
She's also in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter as Mary Todd Lincoln, which is fun because, and nobody said this in IMDb trivia, so perhaps I'll have to go at it. Coincidentally, she plays Abraham Lincoln's wife in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, while in this movie, they reference Abraham Lincoln's assassination. And a bunch of other presidential assassinations, actually.
There's a lot of dead presidents.
Yeah.
In this movie, and also serial killers too.
What
Oh,
serial killers?
Manson.
Oh yeah.
Ian mentions Manson.
But like at the very end, all of the like train stops are named after like serial killers or cult leaders or dead presidents or like
there's like Booth and Oswald for the people who assassinated presidents. Those are the only ones I noticed.
But there's like a lot
noticed.
more.
I read it on IMDb trivia.
Yeah. There's like every single one of them is like a murder. Like Jim Jones is one of them. Bundy is one of them.
Masters of Death. They just sprinkled it in there.
Right? Like it's like a weird, and there's like people that were assassinated. So like on one of the license plates somewhere, it says like RFK.
Fun.
Like there's, and like McKinley. So like the school is named McKinley. McKinley was assassinated.
That's a Glee reference, actually. which is fun because Corey
Speaking
Monteith is
of
apparently
Glee,
in this.
yes,
What?
Corey Monteith.
Did you notice him? I didn't.
Yes, I did.
No.
I just rewatched it literally 5 seconds before we
check.
started recording, and he is in the centennial like historic reenaction. What am I saying?
Reenactment?
Reenactment. Thank you. I had
You're
a hard
welcome.
time scene, and I think that Wendy's sister, what's her name? Julie.
Monica from
Julie?
Silicon Valley.
Julie and her 2 friends, like Pepper and whoever the fuck, they go to meet up with 3 dudes, and one of the dudes is Corey Monteith. You see him for like 5 seconds, and then Kevin comes over and he's like, Julie, your life's in danger. Holy shit, blah, blah, blah. And Julie's like, what the fuck is your problem? I'm trying to mac on Corey Monteith right now. You're totally embarrassing me. And that's part of the text. Yeah, that happens.
Julie do be loving to flip birds off.
She
everybody.
honestly is so good
Yeah,
at it.
Triggerfinger.
She's
Yeah.
so good at it. She looks
looks really
cute
cool
doing
when she
it.
does
She
it.
loves to flash them up.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Should we start going through the rest of the deaths? Because I just really want to talk about them.
Yeah.
I love this movie is so fast paced. Like it's just death, 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 death. But they do a good job of making you cripplingly anxious.
Mhm.
Still, so it's not so fast that you don't have time to feel terrible. But we started talking about the tanning booth one already, but dear God, it is absolutely fucking horrifying. I think that'd be pretty bad way to go.
Yeah. Burned alive. Yeah.
I would say the tanning bed death is equivalent to the Putwood truck. See, like it's the death that like sticks out of this movie. Like it's this movie's like signature death.
Yeah. I would think that's true because people are like, this is the roller coaster final destination. But if you asked anybody their favorite death, it would not be the roller coaster scene. Although the roller coaster is fun.
It's fun, but it's not like
especially when they're hanging from
gruesome.
it. But
I love when Kevin gets cut in half. And then just his butt is sitting in the chair and all his guts are out. That one was cool.
Yeah. And I like when Lewis is like really hanging on in the swirly part. And then a huge chunk just comes and knocks him right off. That sucks. But
yeah, I also felt bad that Carrie and Jason, I think it's Carrie. Is that her name? Who knows?
Yeah.
If I think it sucks that you don't like get to see them die in a cool way, like
right.
They're just gone immediately. They're yeeted. There's no blood. There's nothing. I'm like, oh, come on, give me something. But I guess they're easing us into it. Lame. We can take it. We've been through 2 of these already.
Maybe it would have hurt too much. You know what I mean? We didn't have enough time with the characters, perhaps. But they wanted that emotional investment without making it a joke. I don't know. That's the only reasoning I can think.
I don't know. But
they wanted a soft landing.
I don't want to speak ill of my future wife, our future sister wife, I guess.
Okay.
Well,
where's sister wives?
We're sister
wives.
We're
the sister wives.
Yeah, we're the sister wives. And Mary Elizabeth Winstead is
she's
the one that we worship. Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
I'm glad we're clear on that. Anyway, gotta keep the rules clear early. Okay. She doesn't cause any of these deaths, but she sure is there for every single one of them in a different
the tanning
way.
bed. I mean, she's there, but she's not there.
Here's the thing. Part of the reason that the what's it called? Coat hanger falls over is because she calls the girlies and it starts vibrating. It was already being pushed by the wind, but the phone vibrates and it shakes it, and that's what makes it fall over. So I'm like, Gwen's like, what? Am I causing this? Is it like, am I causing it? I'm like, I maybe
a little bit.
You kind of maybe are. I'm so sorry.
What a jinx.
Ian definitely thinks yes. Ian for sure thinks with Aaron yes. I mean, he says as much. But yeah, the girly death I think is so funny also because it's just like a lovely little look into their characters. You know what I mean? They're like, we just tan to look great for the funerals, but we want to look our best for graduation. I think that's very fair. I think they're right. They owe it to everybody who's not graduating with them to be peak hot. For the girlies who can't be hot anymore.
When I die, I want you guys to be extra hot in my honor, okay?
You know that I would absolutely do that for you.
Take that hotness that I leave behind and then just take it upon yourself and compound it and bring it to the world, please.
Thank you.
Yeah. But I also think it's so funny that in that previous scene when they're inviting Wendy, not only is it a nice gesture that nobody else is really making, although Kevin is trying to reach out.
Yeah.
But the goths are like a little bit are they goths? Maybe just like
I think
they're scene-ish. Yeah. They're just
they're probably in the scene, you know?
I'm calling them goth as shorthand because Goth Girly Alliance is important to me. But I liked that they were kind of held up as like, oh, they're, top 40, blah, blah, blah. Like those are the vibes they've been assigned. But then they go to the tanning booth and they're like, no, Celine, no, Britney. We want 70s era funk and we will absolutely be jamming along. We know all the words. We're dancing. They were having a little party in there. They were throwing it back. And I just thought it was... Obviously, they picked Roller Coaster of Love because it's the roller coaster Final Destination, but they still decided that these girlies just love a little funk music. And
but
I thought
here's
that was a fun character choice.
Also with this scene, tan lines are sexy. So
yes. Are you saying that to make me feel better about my biking tan lines?
Biking tan lines are not sexy.
They're not sexy. Yeah, all tan lines are sexy, right? Even the ones that are like halfway down my thigh.
But here's the thing. You and Adam have matching tan lines, so it's fine.
Cancels out.
We love to match. It's like something that's really important in our relationship.
Some couples coordinate outfits. Some couples coordinate tan lines.
Nightmare. But it's true. I also just the concept of a tanning bed is just so fucking frightening to me. Like that is something I would never do as like one of the whitest people that I know. I think I would certainly just burst into flame without all the hijinks that occurred here.
Yeah, I've never done it. Seems scary.
I had a prescription to go to the tanning bed for a while, like
because vitamin D deficiency, baby.
Well, I have a sun allergy. Monica's seen it before. When
true.
I haven't been in the sun and then I'm like in the sun for like the first time, I will break out in hives until I have a tan. And then once I have a tan, I'm fine. But like I'm like more prone to like heat blisters if I get too tan. But like when we were in Mexico, I had gnarly
it was
sun allergy rash.
It was very cute.
But so like my doctor literally was like, you need to go like 15 minutes a week and like go to a tanning bed in the winter. Otherwise, like it will get worse and it will like
gotta lay that base, baby.
Become an issue. So like your girly needs a base tan all the time.
Look,
my doctor prescribed this.
I'm sorry, I need to be a glowing goddess year round. Otherwise,
doctor's orders.
Otherwise, I'll have a really ugly skin rash. So,
wait, okay. But the look of it is so scary. Not you. The look of the girlies in the tanning bed.
Your rash.
The look of your rash is so gross. No, I'm not talking about your rash. The little goggles. Something about the little goggles like really like made this so it's so scary. It looks like they've got little beady eyes. I don't know. And here's the thing, like light.
The blue light saves it though, because can you imagine if we were watching them burn in real color that whole time? It would be way too horrifying.
But here's the thing:
putting it in the blue light makes it bearable.
You do look like that like skin color. Like if you like look at yourself like in the tanning bed, like that's what you look like. But Mostly you're a little bit darker because you are wearing the protective eye goggles.
As you should.
Oh yeah, you got to.
Protection is
Otherwise
so
it's
important.
bad.
It's just that one is so terrible. The fact that the fucking shelf falls down and then it perfectly goes in between and locks them in there. And then there's
Mhm.
the fan at the top. So I thought someone's hair was gonna get caught in that too. Thank God we didn't have to have that as well.
Yeah, the glass breaking,
The
the
glass
way they're
breaking.
literally incinerated.
I think I caught okay, I might have seen this wrong, but was the brunette girl blistering at the
Yeah.
end?
Yeah.
Oh god, I didn't notice that any of the other times I watched until this last time and I was like, "Ugh, too gross." But yeah, it's hilarious. This movie, like all the deaths are funny, but they still are fucking terrifying. Like it's
I will
burning's the worst way to go.
say I think I might have liked the deaths in the second movie better than this movie. Like I like
What
this
about this one? The
Huh?
nail gun, Alex Johnson, instant
Oh.
star queen.
You were
That's
just
why I
holding
watched
your
this
hand
movie
up.
for the first time because her hand gets nailed to her face.
Oh yeah. I was like, what?
Just like in the picture.
Like I like this
Oh.
movie way better than the second one. Like it's more fun to
Mhm.
watch, but I think the deaths in the second one are a lot better.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with you on that. I like them because I like the second movie's deaths because of the practical effects aspect of it. Like I love that. And they used a lot more CGI in this one, which was disappointing but understandable. Still some practical stuff like that Kevin Butt with his guts coming out was a dummy, you know, that was that. But like when we get to McKinley later, that's CGI. The fire's obviously CGI, my God. Um
They
and
really burned those actresses alive. They
yeah, they're
sacrificed for their
dead.
art.
They died. But for example, the next death, I love this death so much because it's so I don't know what it is. It's the music, it's all the anxiety that is
Mhm.
produced in the second, the second death, in the drive-through death.
It's the way it's a sneaky little surprise.
Oh my god. And that it comes for our protagonist, but like it's not supposed to be coming for them. Like, oh my god. And the song, I love it. I mean, did this 2006 movie start the current horror trend where you have an older song that sounds spooky and then that's the theme for your whole fucking movie? No, people have been doing that since the age of time, the beginning of
And
time. But the
Also,
song
literally,
in
the
this is
first
so
Final
good.
Destination had its own little theme song with the Rocky Mountain High.
That's true, but this one is better because it's
This one,
this one is better. No, it's just this one is more overtly spooky.
it's lyrically thematic instead of
Yeah.
being like John Denver died in a plane crash.
What is that song? I didn't look it up before this. It's my new favorite song. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
There is someone standing behind you. Something like that, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up. But anyway, I just love. There's someone walking behind you by the Vogues. The Vogues is a cool name. Anyway, but I love it. I love that they get like trapped in the car and that the fucking beer van, another fucking beer semi truck, just like in the second movie, comes in and like traps them in the car. Like, it's just and they get out at the very last second and then they're like, what the fuck, why is this coming for me right now? And you finally realize that was Frankie in front of them the whole time.
Yes, the reveal
that's
when they're like, scary nudie necklace girl. Like, what does that mean? Oh no, because there's the whole picture like fake out, which is such a fun little detail.
yes.
Because the first picture, they're like, oh, blah blah blah. I don't know. I forget what the first picture is or what they think is gonna happen.
He's on a rope ladder and they
Oh,
think that
yeah.
he's gonna fall off a ladder or maybe he'll be hanged. And then they make a SpongeBob joke.
I loved that. He's like, hey, SpongeBob lives underwater. And she's like, it's so sad that you know that. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, everybody knows that SpongeBob lives in a pineapple under the sea. It's in his theme song.
Everybody knows.
It's
It's
fine.
so sad that you've heard the SpongeBob theme song. Maybe if you haven't, that's what's sad.
You're missing
Maybe
out
if
on
you
a great
haven't,
show. Okay, it's
culture.
fantastic. It
Yeah.
slaps
Mhm.
still.
Like Adam, Monica's boyfriend, didn't have SpongeBob.
His
do you mean?
parents didn't let him watch cable growing up.
Yeah.
So he never watched SpongeBob. I make SpongeBob references and jokes like all of us do all the fucking time. And
He
he has
doesn't
no
get it.
idea what I'm talking about.
It's why he's so smart. It makes a lot of sense.
I sing the
Stop.
Krusty Krab pizza song. He doesn't care. I sing the
Krusty
wiener
Krab.
the weenie song.
Weenie Hut Jr.
Yes. I talk about that. No, I go, and he doesn't know what I'm talking about. It's terrible. It's
You tell him
hard.
that you eat a bowl of nails for breakfast without any milk, and he's like, "So I'm like, wow." He needs to go back to the beginning.
I know
and
it's a big hurdle in our relationship. I know you feel so bad for us.
Here's the thing. At some point when Adam is healing his inner child, he'll watch all of SpongeBob.
when he's ready to heal his inner child.
Heal
When
his
he's
inner
ready,
child.
one day.
SpongeBob will be waiting with open arms.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
But yeah, I
Oh,
just
wait.
love that Frankie is in his flop era the whole time. And then he gets in one final flop. When it just like the truck runs into him, he's stuck on it, and then eventually just like and his head falls forward.
I loved
It's
that.
so
Little,
gross.
I know it's a stupid
It's so
jump scare,
gross.
but it's so good. Like when the head
Mhm.
falls and the thing goes again. There's one actually really beautiful cinematic moment of this film that we just skipped right past. I just have to rewind really quickly. The final scene of the tanning bed death, you just
Yes.
are up above and you see both the tanning beds like engulfed in flame,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
it cuts to their caskets in the exact same place side by side. Brilliant, beautiful,
Yeah.
incredible. Oh my God, I cried. It was
cinematography.
stunning.
Can we as besties be buried next to each other? Like
I
what?
can't wait for our
They're
joint
girlfriends.
funeral.
Our
Oh my
joint
God, wait.
funeral.
Oh, what did Adam say? Oh my God, this is what Adam, fucking Adam. We were watching this together, and he was like, and their caskets are next to each other like an equal sign that stands for equality because they were gay girlfriends. And I was like, you did it,
He's
baby.
right.
You
He's right.
did it.
Look, we've trained Adam perfectly.
That almost makes up for the SpongeBob thing.
Right?
It almost makes up for the Salma Hayek thing, but definitely not. And he would like me to, he said that he wanted me to make this joke like I believed it, that I thought that Kevin was played by Paul Rudd. And he was like, and then every episode we can get someone confused. And I was like, that's not going to be a new segment on the show, baby. So you got one hit, you got to miss. We're back at neutral place right now. It's not Kevin is not played by Paul Rudd. He's played by the guy from The Luck of the Irish.
Who's so sexy?
He is pretty cute in this, but he's not for me, but like he's cute. Not
Do you
for me.
root for Kevin and Wendy? Do you want them to get together in this movie?
No.
No,
That's
I
what
want them
like
to
about
be like
it.
best friends. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
Yeah.
I want
That's-
him to be like, I've got to look out for my best friend's girl like forever because we're best friends. You know, like that's what I
I
want.
do like
from
that
them.
love
line.
there's no vibes between them. Like I
Mhm.
think that it is very nice.
That they grow to really care about each other, but like the chemistry is very much platonic.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
I-
because
I-
she's also a lesbian, maybe. Maybe.
For us, for me and you, and
She does
Sydney, you
like
can also
Jason.
join if you would like to.
But I feel like Jason is just like high school boyfriend status. You know what I mean? Where she just hasn't figured it out yet.
Yeah. I mean,
We'll
she's
loop
out
back
of
later.
Jason's league. She's out of Jason's league, so she would have figured that
Jason
out.
was fine.
But
He wasn't
he was very
giving anything
sweet.
special. Yeah.
He was sweet. He was sweet. Anyway. Okay, well, that moves us on to death number 3, which is the funniest one. We've already discussed it a little bit, but the gym death is so fucking funny. It's
I
so-
just think that speech should be in a museum. And apparently that actor was just throwing a bunch of those fucks in there himself and was ad-libbing them. And I think that's fun too, because they all absolutely 100% belonged in there.
Yes,
Each
they
served
did.
its own individual role. Every single one was needed.
I also think that this death was okay. This one was so anxiety producing because gyms are stressful as it is, but everybody was grunting and punching a bear. I was like, don't punch that bear. I don't care if you hate the Bruins. That bear used to be an alive bear. So don't you dare hurt him. There's some taxidermy. We love to see taxidermy in a film, don't we, Sydney?
We do. I love taxidermy.
We love it. Okay. We love
You
it.
cried over taxidermy today.
I did. What did Sydney cry over today?
I saw that Instagram story, baby.
You gotta send me that TikTok about the horse taxidermy that made you cry. That's what you need to send me.
She sent it
see
somewhere
It's
in one of the group chats.
the Spooky Tuesday Instagram, Monica. Don't worry, I got you.
Oh shit. Okay, I'm on it.
Nice.
I'm on it. Pause the podcast so I can watch it right now.
Pause.
No, I'm kidding. But the thing with this one that I think is so interesting is like how many of the other deaths were technically self-inflicted, because he ends up killing himself in the end. Because yeah, the cables broke, but it's not like the cables were sliced and then it immediately killed him. He just was like, and smashes his own head, you know?
The hubris of man.
It's so funny. It's so funny. When we were watching that scene, Adam was like, so the knives that get him, right? Oh no, it's the bear. The bear kills him. I was like, the bear is dead. What? How
the
is
bear?
The bear is dead.
I
Adam,
don't
do
know.
better.
I don't know. And he was like, I was like, you just have to watch it. He's like, you're right. It's always the last thing you think in these movies. And they do a really good job of that. Oh man. But I wasn't sad to see him go because he was a little bit pompous, but he was cute. So we'll give him that.
Yeah. Yeah. That joke was that death was on him. Sorry, I looked at the word joke in my notes right before I tried to say something.
That
anyway.
A joke. Wait, okay. We're about to get to our goth /punk/
Zip and Pip.
Potentially My Chemical Romance fans. Is that maybe their whole vibe? But who is Alex Johnson? Is she like a, what's the vibe with her? You said that you watched this movie because of her, but I don't know who that is. So why?
Instant Star was a TV show on the N around the same time that Degrassi: The Next Generation was on the N. There was time overlap. And it was a Canadian show. And actually our bestie, Christian Brune, is friends with the sister from Instant Star.
No way.
Sadie. But it's like she wins basically Canadian American Idol. And then she has a romance with Lil Tommy Q, who is like a former graduated boy band who's trying to be a serious musician now, but he's like 24 and she's like 16, and it's really weird. Actually, in hindsight, he also has a romance with her sister, who's like only 18, maybe. Anyway, but I loved Instant Star, and so I was obsessed with Alex Johnson, and I was like looking at pictures of her, and I saw that she was in this movie, and I knew that her hand got nailed to her face. And so I was like, obviously, I have to watch this. And Sky High was like I have the whole Instant Star albums actually still on my phone, as well as Sky High, which I bought on iTunes in middle school. So this movie really brought a lot of things together for me and was very important to me at the time.
You love it when things work out like that.
See, and it was new back then. It was just coming out to me at the time.
Well, you looked at her and you were like, I know her from all of these things. I looked at her and I was like, is that Carly Rae Jepsen? But I was like, that does not make sense. She looks exactly like Carly Rae Jepsen in the Call Me Maybe video. It is the exact same hair, the long bangs, the eyeliner. Look it up. I'm not wrong.
I am going to look it up.
But I will say that I did not expect to feel so feral towards Ian, but I did feel feral towards Ian. He looks like Billy Joe from fucking Green Day, and I had a huge Green Day phase around this time this movie came out. Like, that's totally what they were going for, like 100%. So
Yeah, he didn't get me at first, like in the opening scene and the roller coaster line when they're like, oh, it's elemental physics, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yay, love that they're little science nerds and smarty pants. And obviously I have love for Alex Johnson, but it didn't really translate to him specifically. But then once they started to be like Zip and Pip and calling each other cutesy little names, I was like, I am now in love with both. And he looked very, very cute in that scene. He was absolutely bringing what he needed to bring to the table. And not to get into another segment again, but he's gay and she's a lesbian and they're best friends, and that's means a lot to me. So I
okay,
decided.
fair.
They're the
I
perfect
also
pair.
like them as a little goth couple, but yes, I also accept that, and it also
Sure.
tracks, and it makes a lot of sense. But this death is these deaths, I guess, are almost two deaths, is so long-winded and it is so stressful and
Very
no one should
confusing
work at
to
a hardware
follow.
store, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, my God.
But they did
this
shoot
one.
pigeons with a nail gun, which I think is bad, except we know that the pigeons killed the teenage boy in Final Destination 2, so maybe it's revenge.
Revenge.
That's such a good point. That's such a good point. See, they really thought this all out. They really were tying
It was
everything
planned.
together.
Yeah.
The reason that they died at that time is because that was the exact same pigeon that was in the first movie. I'm trying to make some sort of joke, like it's like the rules for the second one where it doesn't make any sense and it's more of that shit.
That's the connection.
Thank God it's not. That's the connection. They died because that pigeon had saved their lives another time. But I'm just like, I can't imagine operating a forklift even on my best day.
Being a
and now I
teenager
certainly
operating a
never
forklift?
will. He's just so chill about everything. He's using a nail gun. One time, maybe I've told this story on this podcast before, but I'm telling it again. One time I was a child and I saw a staple gun, not even a nail gun. And I
Just
thought,
one time.
I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to shoot it. I shot it at my own face because I didn't know which side the staples came out. The staple flew towards my eye, hit my brow bone, and just bounced off and like maybe cut me a little bit, and that's it. I almost lost my fucking eye. So no one should touch anything. No one should be around any sort of gun, real, nail, or staple. It's too scary.
I've
Anyway,
seen
I am
this.
very dumb.
I've seen Happy Gilmore. I've seen what I need to see.
That's it. That's it.
That's the list.
Oh my God. But yeah, it also sucked that she was kind of still alive, like while all the nails were in her head.
And IMDb said it was 13 nails, which is so many to go into your head and face.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
and to nail her hand to her face. Woof.
Woof. Yeah, at least then we didn't have to see like her whole face filled with nails. Also, like that image kind of looks like the poster for Final Destination 5, which is like a skull with all, I haven't seen it, no spoilers, but skull with all these like metal pieces jutting through it. Anyway, but that's also giving me like rebar on the back of a truck vibe in the Final Destination 5 one. So a little bit different. But another beautifully thought out through line from the creative minds that brought you the Final Destination series.
They're working hard, baby. They're making those connects.
But I did think that, like, acting wise, they did a good job establishing that Ian now immediately blames Wendy for this, because I didn't catch it the first time. But like when he does that like yell after after Erin has gotten her face all shot up, he like looks directly at Wendy, like he turns to Wendy and is like like at her.
I mean, he had also just proposed that she kill herself, so
yes, yeah, he did do that.
He was like, from a philosophical perspective, trolley problem wise, you should kill yourself. So, and then his bestie dies right in front of him. So I am willing to cut him a little bit of slack because I don't really think that he was going to try to murder her necessarily. You know what I'm not sure that he knew what he was trying to do. And not to skip around too much, but when he is like confronting her at the end at the centennial or whatever, he's like, "Oh, do I cause your death?" Blah blah blah. Like I think he's like almost a little surprised by that information.
Know.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
so I don't know why.
Like, oh,
he's
I caused your
causing
death.
her.
Oh shit, yeah.
I'm not sure what his motivations are, other than I'm angry and now I'm fixated on you. But
grief
that's enough,
comes
probably.
at you in a myriad of interesting ways, and his manifested in slight stalking, I guess,
is to be somebody right behind her. Okay, like the song says.
Oh my god. See, okay, this movie has it all. Okay, it has the coolest deaths besides the second one, arguably. Okay, I'm not erasing you, Sydney. But it has cool deaths. It has Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and it has a fucking historical reenactment scene.
Which
when do we
all
get
love.
that? When do we get that? Who else is giving us that? No one. No one. Thank God.
And it is kind of fun
also,
because when they realize that Kevin is like something with the Flash, there's so many options. They're like, they're smelting horseshoes. There's fireworks going off. Ben Franklin is trying to conduct lightning with his key on a kite.
Fuck you, Ben Franklin. Another incredible line. Just an incredible line. The other thing, what was I gonna say? If you think of something, go ahead. My brain turned off.
Julie's friend getting javelined is woof.
The whole reveal that Julie is next.
Yes, with the bracelet.
The whole reveal that it was Julie at all.
Right?
I thought that was fun.
I like that too, but like, I was like, why did she not say anything? Like, why would she not like have camaraderie with her sister, who's obviously having like horrible survivor's guilt? Like, is it all because she didn't want her mom to know that she went to the theme park that night? Like, I think that might be it.
Probably.
There's one other thing that just like didn't make sense in this movie. Like right after Wendy and Kevin get out of apparently being interrogated for 10 hours by the police. Then they're like, oh fuck, like we don't know who the other people were. They could already be dead right now. Like, Kevin, you could be next right now. And he's like freaking out, thinking that he's about to be next. And then Wendy calls him like a few hours later to be like, hey, I actually figured out that it's my sister who's next. And he's like, oh, no way. I'm working security at that event right now. So you went from fearing for your life that you could die at any second to being like, I'm just going to work security at this event where there's fireworks, horses, like javelins, like all this shit. Like, doesn't make sense. That's the only logical fallacy in this film. Okay. That's it.
He said, look, I made a commitment and I'm a man of my word.
Classic Kevin.
I still got to make that money, honey, is the thing.
Kevin committed to protecting her for 3 minutes on a roller coaster, and now he's prepared to do it for the rest of his life. He committed to working security at this event, and now he's willing to die to do it. I think, maybe no, he still took an upskirt photo, so that's pretty bad.
That was before he had
he's a different man
radical self-growth, so hopefully
I do think he had an awakening of sorts and was like, wow, life is short, maybe you should spend it being kind to people.
Maybe you should spend it not sexually harassing poor women. Like,
yeah.
Oh man. But yeah,
I do also like that Julie, they were like, how do we show that they're sisters? I know, we'll give them the exact same things.
Right.
Thank you so much for saying that. They have the exact same haircut. And I would also like to point out that in 2006, I had the exact same haircut.
I also had that exact same haircut.
Exactly. that haircut slapped back then. Wouldn't do it now, but it slapped.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead
Uh,
looks good with it. She's a real cutie.
She's such a cutie. Oh my god. Additionally,
Hmm.
I love that of all the things about a horse going wild that could kill you, and there's like that stake flying all around. It's like that it wraps around her neck and drags her all throughout the historical reenactment. That's what really it's just unexpected. And then there's that like 5-second reprieve, and she doesn't just like immediately unnoose her neck. I'm like, babe, please focus.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's rough. I did like though, right before that part when she's still like driving over and hustling and Ian is following her in the car, that she just seems like a random big scary omen dog in the middle of the road, like very much giving the Grim from Harry Potter and presumably other things. I don't think she made that up, but I just liked it. I thought that was fun. Just a random scary little dog.
it's beautiful. It's beautiful. This, I mean, the pacing in this scene is so great too, because it's just like Julie almost dies, then her friend gets impaled, and then
I mean, like
immediately
instantly.
Kevin, yeah, instantly, so funny. And then instantly Kevin is like thrust onto the bobby and almost explodes. And I was kind of confused with the McKinley death and like how it, like the Ian death, and how it made sense, but I guess the way that Ian would have caused her death was by like having her stand exactly where those fireworks were gonna go off. And that's how he would have caused her death. Because what happens is she's standing right there with Kevin and her sister, and it's next to the fireworks where the stick had been kicked out from under it. So it was in like a trailer and it was like topsy turvy. And so she's talking to Ian, and then he's like distracting her, but then she somehow like feels death wind or something like
The
that, and
spooky
like
death
dives
wind.
out of the way. The death wind is always beautifully and artfully done. And it's used quite a bit in this film. Let us not forget that scene when they're at Jason's grave earlier in the movie and she is so obviously in front of a green screen that her head and her hair looks really weird, and then the death wind comes and all the trees are CGI'd and they're like like it's really
It feels
lame.
cold and terrifying.
And they're all like, oh my god. Beautiful 2006 effects work. It's really nice. But yeah, I guess that like Ian caused her death, would have caused her death by like having her be in that place because he like is confronting her there, I guess. What do you guys
It
think?
doesn't, I think it doesn't matter. I think
Okay, well, I thought that I
I have
figured it
no
out, so I was
question.
excited.
No, okay. I think that that is a great theory. I think it doesn't quite make meaningful sense.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
is the thing, but that's what I mean when I say it doesn't have to.
No,
That's
it doesn't.
whatever this movie wants to do is fine by me.
Yeah,
Totally
the
They
fine with
second one
me.
can
didn't make a lick of sense, and we
Yeah,
still had a great time. So
they
we're
can
gonna let
really
it
set
slide.
up Frankie's camera as the inciting incident and then take that away and still have the accident happen. They can say Ian would be responsible for the death, and then for some reason it gets
Yeah,
skipped with very minimal intervention. And then he just gets smushed to the degree that parts of his body are sliced away from other parts of his body.
Incredible.
Very awesome. He's doing a
Yeah.
little bit of a flip off too thing as he twitches and dies.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you think that the people making this movie for these deaths did like a fun little like Mythbuster like trial to be like, is this death even possible?
Well, I do know that it took like
No. They're like, wouldn't it be cool if?
They do take a lot of inspiration from real life with stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if they looked up like sign falling deaths or whatever. And obviously
Darwin
we have a
Awards.
sign falling death in the first film. So they already had done some preliminary research 6 years earlier. But I do know with Aaron's death, with Pip's death at the hardware store, it took them like 20 different takes to get the hammer to fall just right on the gear shift. So like they are trying to inject some realism into the sequences of events in this movie. Like they are trying to do something to a degree, I think. Would you blister like that in a tanning bed? I don't know. That fast?
Would
I
it
mean, that
burst
seemed
in the flames,
yeah.
possibly.
I mean, there was a lot going on, you know.
I saw
I don't have any
on
questions for
YouTube.
the film. I
Yeah.
accept whatever they give me implicitly.
This is big for me, Chelsea, because you love to know exactly why. And so you've just let Jesus take the wheel here. And I appreciate that. I saw a video that I did not watch because I was like, couldn't be me. But there is a video apparently that's like how to avoid all of the deaths in Final Destination. So if you're feeling scared, you just tap on YouTube, tip that in. I'm not even going to put in the references, and you watch that and you let me know. But okay, that brings us to the end of this movie, and I think the end of this movie is fucking brill. It's so smart. It's so good. It's another 5 months later thing, so they're rehashing the ending of like pretty much every single one of the movies so far. Doing it better than the second one though, I have to say. And it's Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She's a New York girly now, I think. Is she in New York? She's on a subway. It's New York.
They really, I don't think, ever clarify exactly where things take place.
New York.
And that's fine.
It's New York.
The first one takes place in New York. And then I think the second one also is implied to take place in New York because they were close enough to drive to the institution where Clear was. They were only like an hour or two away, I think,
It's
right?
New York.
They're all local.
New York. They're in New York. And she has some cool new friends, maybe some vibes with that dude. I think
it's supposed to be her roommate and her boyfriend. That's what IMDb trivia says, but I don't know.
She referred to him as her friend to her sister.
Oh, not ready for the formal introduction, I see.
They had some flirty eyes. And there's just so many little details in this that are so good. Like all the ads in the bus are for things that have to do with the deaths, the tanning salon, like all this different shit. It's so good. The
Bruins
busker
fans outside who like throw the little chocolate down to the rat.
Oh
rats?
My God, the fact
what did they say? Pigeons are the rats of the sky. That's just like Aaron's death.
More pigeon fodder, amazing.
I don't need any more pigeon slander. Pigeons are great.
Sorry
also,
to the pigeons.
Whenever I see any animal that is small and doing anything, I say to Adam, that's BB, because my dog is small. So I saw that rat and I was like, that's BB. And then he got electrocuted. That wasn't so good. Poor BB.
Tragic.
But the best part of the whole thing is when slowly but surely like all the rest of our survivors start showing up in this subway, and you know that can't be a good thing. What? Julie's here? What? Kevin's here? That can't be a good thing. Well, I read an article that almost spoiled the ending of the 5th movie, so do not look this up, okay? If you haven't seen the 5th one, like I haven't. And it was like, wow, they tried to do this cool thing with the ending. They were gonna have AJ Cook and the cop from the second movie, who are still alive canonically, show up at in the subway at the same time too. And so the audience would be like, oh fuck, like Mary Elizabeth Winstead wouldn't necessarily know, but we would know. But one of them was not available. It was probably AJ Cook, because she was probably doing Criminal Minds. I don't know. Who knows when Criminal Minds started. But that would have been awesome. But apparently there's also something in like the DVD extras for this movie where there's like a choose your final destination thing, and it's like a choose your fate thing, and in part of it there's like a picture of a newspaper clipping where it reports that AJ Cook and the cop have died in a freak wood chipper accident. Horrible. So
Hate that.
similar to how they kill off Devon Sawa, where you just have to read it, but that never occurred in the actual canonic film. Okay, it wasn't in the final cut that we saw in theaters. I never saw this in theaters, but some people saw in theaters, and so they're still alive. AJ and the cop are still alive. But unfortunately, all the rest of our friends here are dead.
Yeah, I do think it's fun that this is the first Final Destination that like closes its own loop, if you will.
Yeah.
And I think that is a good move in terms of like upping the ante. Where in the first one it's like, okay, you can survive, but is death eventually going to come back around? And then in the second one we see clear, and it's like, okay, she did survive, but only
But
by
at what
like locking
cost?
herself in a padded room with no chemicals or cell phones or anything other than her
Except
security camera and her
for hair
thumbtacks.
dye.
But there is that like little loose thread with AJ Cook and the cop. And I think it just kind of got away from them, you know what I mean? And so I like that the third one was like, no, we're not leaving any loose threads even until the next film. And I wonder if they thought this would be like the last one when they were making it, like if they thought the third one would be the final one. Although obviously we know that the fourth one was called like the final destination or whatever. And then they were like, just kidding, there's a fifth one. And now they're like, just kidding, there's also gonna be a sixth one. Because they can't help themselves. And I think that also is fun. Because John Waters loves this movie, by the way. And he said the DVD, which had like the choose your own adventure part of it, was like he put it on his, I don't know, some list of good DVDs, whatever. And he also said he wished he'd made the first one. It was on a list of movies he'd wished he'd made. But he says it is very much like an exploitation film. Like they are just making it to print money, but they do it so well and have so much fun with it that it literally doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't care.
Exactly. Like you could give me 45 Final Destinations and I would have so much fun every single time.
Fangoria was like, oh my god, everybody's just laughing at these deaths. They're not even scary. And I'm like, they're like comedy scary. That's the whole thing, where you're like, oh fuck, you laugh because it's so shocking, you know? Like, let us live, okay?
There are some final five deaths that are same kind of thing, but so anxiety inducing. In the way that they love to do kind of like the bait and switch sometimes, where they present a very obvious option and you're like, oh no, and then they're like, just kidding. Kind of like the drive-through with this one, where they're like, are they gonna get crushed in the drive-through? And then they're like, just kidding, it was that other guy, we gotcha. Where they like build the suspense, but also they still manage to surprise you. They do a really good job with it. They just have so much fun. They're so creative every single time. I think it's a blast. I did read on IMDb trivia, and I don't know that this is true again. But they were going to maybe at some point, AJ Cook was gonna be like her cousin or something, and she was gonna be on the train with them, not just also them on the train. And if that's true, and I choose to believe that it's not, because then she would be like very familiar, you know what I mean? She wouldn't need Kevin to come in being like, this has happened before. So I reject that narrative, and I don't believe that the filmmakers would do such a thing, although I don't know, who knows. But it would have been fun. It would have been fun if they were on the subway train.
Yeah, I just like that they're still floating around out there, though. Like, I like that loose end.
Yeah, I
wish that it was Mary Elizabeth Winstead instead who was still alive, but you know,
she's so good.
Can't always get what we want.
She's so good. But apparently in the newspaper article that you see in the Choose Your Own Adventure, they like really get into the details of that freak wood chipper death. And it's something that like, okay, here it is. A newspaper article seen in the special feature Choose Their Fate reveals that Kimberly Corman and Officer Thomas Burke died when they ran into each other at Goldstein's Hardware, which I'm going to assume is where Zip and Pip work. A Camaro owned by Evan Lewis, a victim in Final Destination 2, rolled down a hill. Why would it be the same Camaro? That, whatever, it doesn't matter. Literally doesn't matter. But a Camaro, perhaps like the one owned by Evan in Final Destination 2, rolled down the hill and crashed into the front of the store. The two attempted to escape from the rear, only to meet their fate at the hands of a wood chipper. Kimberly's coat got caught. Thomas attempted to save her. Both were pulled into the wood chipper. The wood chipper was owned by Roger Gibbons, whose son was the boy who was killed at the end of Final Destination 2. So they really just threw a bunch of different Final Destination clear references into one tight little paragraph, purely just for a special feature, not even in the film itself. They just were really having a blast.
J for F, just
Good
for
for
fun.
Oh man. I really don't want to ever be in a subway when it crashes because that looks pretty bad.
It looks
My one
scary.
thought at the very, very end when like the train is coming right at Wendy and you're like, yeah, it's over, babes. I was like, do you think that I was looking at the train and I was like, is the train gonna say like McKinley on it?
Right.
Or something. And then it didn't. And I was
think
like, okay, fine. That would have been a little too on the nose. Like, were they at the McKinley stop? Like, what
I
could
think
it
it
have
was
been?
like, I see the connection you're making. That would have been fun.
Yeah.
But I think it was like car 081 or something. It was like 180 shuffled the numbers. So there was something to tie it into like the overarching lore.
Yeah.
But I liked that it was a premonition also, because I feel like we usually just get one premonition per movie, you know what I mean? And this one was double the trouble.
Double prem. We love to see it. Well, I guess that's the end of this movie, but we gotta ask, how could it have been gayer? And we've covered this a little bit already throughout, but it's so great to have so much queer representation in this movie.
Yeah, I think Zip and Pip are gay besties. I think that Wendy doesn't have to be a lesbian, but I would like it for her, I think. Who
I would
else?
like that for her too.
Ashley and Ashlyn are girlfriends, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, like Adam said, the equality symbol is right there.
It's right there. It's written in the text.
That's probably about it.
Secretly,
Frankie is metrosexual.
I think Frankie will come out as gay. I think he is just like overexerting himself until he finally accepts who he is. And
he does have that great line where he's at the funeral and he's like, wow, is this my fault? If I hadn't over sexualized these women, would they have even been getting a tan for my male gaze in the first place?
It's so funny. Oh my God. And then Julie's like, great job making this about you. And he misreads the fucking clues and leans in for a kiss. Yes. Oh my God. That's like one of my favorite jokes to make, is like pretending to lean in for a kiss with my friends. And I can't recommend it because you might get yourself in a sticky situation.
You might have to do a kiss. Look, sometimes
you might do a
chicken will backfire. Anyway, that's how it could be gayer. Maddie Lily. Where should Maddie Lily be?
Okay, I have the perfect spot for Matthew Lillard. He's the tanning bed owner.
That'd be fun. That would be fun.
Yes.
Yuri.
Yes.
Yuri, the tanning bed owner.
Exactly.
Oh, Yuri. Poor Yuri's gonna get fired, by the by. Poor Yuri.
Yeah.
Yuri owns the salon, maybe though. But that shampoo being squeezed out as the door shuts, woof.
It's sunscreen. And yeah.
It's not sunscreen, it's tanning lotion.
Okay, yeah.
Big difference.
But
Why would you wear
he
sunscreen in a
says-
tanning bed, Monica?
Well, I don't know. I just always wear sunscreen.
We've never
and so
been,
it's hard
Sydney,
for
and
me
we've
to
told you that
fathom.
already.
It's hard for me to fathom. But yeah, he says that the reason that he's outside and not inside calling on the work phone is because his boss, quote, his boss will get mad at him if he's on the work phone too much, racking up the bill.
Sounds like his boss is cheap and it's the boss's fault.
True.
But yeah, I think that would be a great place for Matthew Lillard. I think he also could be security in the beginning, who's like pulling Wendy off the ride and stopping her from like running back in. You know what I mean? That could be a fun little spot for him. He
could have been Corey Monteith.
Oh, a little old maybe for that role, but you never know.
Too subtle.
Sometimes high school girls love to do a flirt with an older man.
Exactly.
He could have been the Ben Franklin guy.
Oh my God.
Actually, I would
Ben
love him to be the
Franklin.
Ben Franklin guy. Or the Paul Revere guy, the British are coming. There's a lot of good options at the Centennial.
There's a lot. He could have been the horse.
Oh yeah.
He could have been the horse. Put him in a horse costume and he's just galloping along. He could have been the sword that they used to cut the rope.
Oh
Let's
my God.
really get
so
avant-garde.
True. Wow. There's something about Maddie Lily just like feels like that historic reenactment sword. There's just something there.
Totally.
Well, that brings us to the dumb bitch. And it's hard in a movie such as this. But I mean, Frankie is probably the dumbest of them all, but I still love him.
Yeah.
But also contender is football man.
Lewis. He did basically dare death to come for him immediately. And then he really survived what seemed like a tragic series of events and then pushed his luck even just that little bit further. So I would say it would be very fair to give him the Dumb Bitch Award.
Or dark horse here, the kid running the roller coaster.
You know what though? He's probably like 15 years old. Perhaps a roller coaster owner and operator. There's a lot of maintenance work that needs to be done.
Roller coaster maintenance.
Roller coaster maintenance. You are the dumb bitch.
That's the thing about amusement parks is like so often they're just hiring teenagers at minimum wage who really don't know anything about like engineering of roller coasters. Apparently people who design roller coasters often don't know much about engineering of roller coasters. So,
oh fuck. But it's like a 25 million to 1 chance of dying on one, according to Ian, and then also that's true. The other thing is okay, sorry, you were talking about like poorly run roller coaster parks. You should watch that documentary about that fucking death park where like all these people died because it was just like run by a crazy person.
Wait, what's that?
Oh, it's really good. I can't remember what it's called. I'm sorry.
But you're gonna have to text me once you remember it because I need to watch it.
I'll look it up. I just want to say this one thing really quickly, and that thing is the guy who plays Lewis, his real name is Texas Battle.
Incredible.
It's iconic. That's probably one of the coolest names I've ever heard. Just saying.
Do you think that was his name at birth?
Synonym for the Alamo.
Remember the Alamo.
Remember Texas Battle.
Wow.
Great guy. Well, that brings us to our knives out of 5. So, Chelsea, everyone in the world gave this 5 stars, right?
Yeah, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Universally beloved, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Actually, the thing that's fucked up is that it got, well, on IMDb, actually, maybe it's okay. Or it's worse on IMDb, but okay on Rotten Tomatoes. Because I went to look back at Final Destination 1 and 2 to see how it compared. So I'll give you the full rundown of the stats so far for Final Destination Summer. The first Final Destination got 6.7 out of 10 on IMDb, 35% rotten from critics, and 68% fresh from audiences. Final Destination 2 got 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb, 48% rotten from critics, and 58% rotten from audiences. And then Final Destination 3 got 5.8 out of 10, so a little worse. And then on Rotten Tomatoes, it got 44% rotten from critics and 57% rotten from audiences. So kind of all within the same range to a degree. Critics are like sort of kind of warming up to the Final Destination series after they really hated it initially. Audiences are kind of holding steady on being, I think, entertained, but maybe not impressed. That said, this is a flawless film, no notes.
Flawless film, no notes.
I have nothing to say.
5
Actually,
stars.
I have one thing to say. 5 stars. 5 knives out of 5s.
Yeah, I mean, I think
5
it's
knives out
gonna
of
be
5s.
a unanimous 5 knives out of 5s. It's just a perfect movie. The script is absolutely banging. It has, I would say, the tanning bed death scene is like one of the most iconic deaths in the entire franchise. Possibly the most
They
iconic
try
death
to
in the entire
recreate it.
franchise.
Which one is? The other one?
The tanning bed one, I think.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I agree. They try to recreate that same magic in the 4th one, and they cannot do it.
Yeah, because we got tits and people being burned alive and a great song. Like,
they love to randomly just throw some titties in there.
They do.
I know.
They're like, these girls will
R.
get naked in the tanning bed, and then in Final Destination 2, they were like, someone's just gonna randomly flash them on the freeway. They're having a good time.
I'm also choosing to believe that Ashley and Ashlyn, since they were seniors, they were both 18. So
yeah. Apparently, one of the actresses was a little worried about getting her titties out, but it was like a very nicely, politely closed set, and she had such a good experience that she was like, okay, I'll do titties out in future movies.
Oh, that's so nice.
So, we love that.
Great. A great first titty experience. The other thing that I will say is that I love that they have the whole conversation that we have had many times on the pod. Would you want to know how you die? The answer is hell fucking no. I was like, Kevin, I'm there with you, honey. I wouldn't look at the picture either. Especially because he gets blowed up. But I'm so glad that we all agree. 5 knives out of 5. Flawless film.
Yeah, no notes.
Wow. No notes. It's just so crazy that we've hit the peak of Final Destination Summer, and
it's
I
downhill
I haven't
from
seen
here.
the 5th one, but it do be downhill from here. it really do. I might have seen part of 5 because I'm thinking of like a few of the deaths that I remember that have not occurred in what we've covered so far, and there's a lot of ones that are super similar. So I think I might have seen part of 5.
You've probably done one of those like
2
compilation
doctor-related ones. I think that's it.
I'm pretty sure.
Anyway.
I know I've seen the 4th one. I think I've seen the 5th one, but I think I might have blocked it out.
We'll revisit it together this September.
All right. So pivoting from our Final Destination Summer, next week we are doing one of my all-time favorite movies and one of the very few horror movies that Adam would watch when he was still in his scaredy cat phase. And that is the masterpiece, the 1990 film Tremors, starring our boy Kevin Bacon.
We love Kevin Bacon.
Is this the one with David Arquette?
Big Bacon fans.
Or is that a different
No.
movie?
That's Eight-Legged Freaks.
Well,
Similar vibe, and I also love Eight-Legged Freaks, but I love Tremors way more.
one is spiders, one is worms. I'm excited to find out.
It's very exciting. We love a monster movie.
Here's the thing. I can't wait to ask the question of would you still love me if I turned into a tremor worm?
Time honored tradition of girlfriends everywhere.
Okay, but like that aside, I would only still love you if you turned into a tremor worm if you started out as Reba, because Reba is in this movie. Just so everyone knows,
McIntyre?
in case you Reba.
Oh my god, the Reba to tremor worm
Reba?
pipeline of girlfriends.
That okay.
No spoilers. Don't say anymore.
No spoilers. No spoilers. I can't tell you if
Okay.
Reba turns into the worm or
she
not.
turn
You'll
into a
have
worm?
to tune in next week to find out.
Does Reba turn into a worm?
The age
You'll
old
have to
question.
tune in.
I still love her.
I would still love her. Yeah. Sydney, I'd still love you, but like try to avoid it if you could.
you can.
That would
Thank
be
you,
really
thank
nice.
you.
But in the meantime, why not write a haiku review about the Final Destination series? Maybe one about Mary Elizabeth Winstead. How many syllables is her name?
Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
No,
Too many for one
it's
line.
Too many.
You could say Lisbeth. Mary
But-
Elizabeth Winstead, just say it fast.
But she's a 3-namer. You know, you got to say them all. Not a first D, last D. She's a all 3 E. Chelsea, I'm watching Chelsea's.
I'm really trying to
brain
find a
work
way.
to write a
Figure it
haiku
out.
right now.
Figure it out.
I sent you some really good haikus.
You did.
Yeah,
You did
okay,
incredible.
Chelsea's been doing the work
Did
for
Ben
you guys.
post that
You can-
haiku?
I don't know.
He's canceled if he
better.
didn't.
I haven't seen a review come in, so don't be like Ben. Write us a 5-star review.
If he doesn't post a haiku review, he will go to my #1 most hated ex-boyfriend.
Especially because I ghost wrote one for him. Did you send it to him?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So it's ball is in his court. I wrote another one for everybody else, but you have to write it on a Tuesday because that is what I wrote into the haiku. So I'll wait until next Tuesday. Well, you're listening to this possibly on a Tuesday. You'll see it today on stories. Guess what?
Beautiful,
I'm
beautiful,
time traveling
beautiful.
to share this message with you.
Thank God. So yeah, write us a haiku review, 5 stars, please. We literally only have 8 reviews away from getting 100 reviews on Apple Podcasts, and that will make us look extra sexy to the layperson who just happens across Spooky Tuesday. So please help us look legit. Write us a review, please. Anyway,
Love
also follow us on
us.
Instagram. Love us. Follow us on social media at spooky_Tuesday. That's for Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. We're also on Tumblr and Facebook at Spooky Tuesday Pod, and we're on Letterboxd at Spooky Tuesday, and we have one YouTube video.
We're never posting a second one.
That's
Maybe one day
might.
we'll post a second one.
No.
We might, and won't you look like an ass if you're not following us with notifications?
Don't
on?
call her that.
I'm not saying that Sydney's an ass. I'm saying that layperson will be an ass if they do not have that like and subscribe already hooked up for our very cool YouTube channel. Anyway, that's it. Love you. Thanks for listening.
Bye, spookies.
Dare you to flash me them sweet, sweet titties when we go through the loop.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Height, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamara Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Captain Tamara, and our podcast art is by Mary Murphy, who you can find on Instagram at _the_moon_omg.